It's been 4 months since I've last shown these two plants on this channel. And since that time, a lot has happened. They've now come into their own and I'm super excited to show you guys the progress. What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. The very first video I did on YouTube, which you can find linked up here, was about my Stephania Erecta, how to pot it up, how to get it going. And that video really did help to give me the motivation that I needed just to continue with this YouTube journey, because it was a lot. I think I was a little bit nervous. I know for sure that I was nervous about starting this journey. I remember setting up like this table and the plants. I staged it. It looked amazing, and I posted it. I kept my fingers crossed, and I'm glad that it was well received. So today's video is just a bit of an update on these plants. The last time I showed it to you guys, we were just coming out of spring, and neither of them had any leaves on them. I think the Stephania Nova was just starting to bud, and the Erecta, it still had the stem from last year, but it had no leaves on it. So this plant suffered from spider mite, which really slowed down its growth. So this plant was on my west facing window where we got lots of afternoon sun, and it really did enjoy that. But unfortunately, the spider mites did mean that the leaves quickly yellowed and they fell off. And I left the stem on there thinking that it might wake up some auxiliary buds, but that never happened. So I left that on because the stem was still green, and you know, any part of a plant that's green means that it's contributed to some sort of photosynthesis. So I left it on there. And in my previous video, I showed you guys that I unpotted it just to sort of check on the root health, and it was well rooted, which was great news. I then decided to treat the plant to ensure that it had no spider mites on it, and I used an insecticidal soap with a little bit of neem oil, and I placed it into this grow tent, this makeshift grow tent behind me, where we got lots of good humidity. The humidity in this grow tent is typically around 60% in the daytime, and in the evening it goes up to 90 plus. So it got really good humidity, but also excellent light. I think it gets about 12 hours worth of light in a day. But before I put it in there, I actually cut off that stem just to sort of activate some more stem growth in that plant. And 4 months later, this is what the plant looks like today. Have a look at that. Oh, I am so proud to have this plant growing again. I've never been able to get it to get really long or leggy. I see some people have some beautiful examples of it where they have it trellised around, you know, some sort of pretty trellis with lots of interesting designs, but mine typically sort of gets to this length and stops. If anyone knows how I can encourage this to grow a bit longer, please do let me know. But I should say that it's right underneath a grow light, so you get lots and lots of light, and typically when you give a plant a lot of light, it does mean that the growth becomes more compacted and less leggy. So I think maybe if I do try to get it on a trellis, it might encourage it to grow some more. But at the moment, I don't think I have much space to trellis this in the grow tent on the shelf that it's on at the moment. So I'm happy with the way that it is now. I'll show you guys that there are also some other stems on the bottom here which have some leaves that may or may not emerge. I'm going to show you this side as well, and on that side you can see some other sort of points here where we may be lucky enough to get some new growth. So what I find typically is that, you know, in my plant anyway, it throws all of its energy into one stem, and then the rest sort of just lay dormant until you either chop it off or, you know, I don't know. So I'm still sort of getting to grips with this plant, getting to understand it. But what I do know is that this is a thirsty plant. I think when I first started researching this plant, a lot of people said treat it like a succulent. But I'm not sure that's the case actually, because I have this in a semi-hydro setup, believe it or not. Lots of water in there. And I kid you not when I say this plant will go through this entire reservoir at least twice a week. On especially hot days, we might get, you know, I might have to top this up 3 times a week. and the plant doesn't seem to mind. I watered the bulb. You can see where those sort of, I mean, I watered it today, but you can see where it stays wet there sometimes, and that doesn't seem to affect the plant at all. In the wild, this plant doesn't grow like this with the codex above the surface of the soil. It actually grows under the ground just like a potato. You know, if you look at a lot of, there's a video which I'll try to find and link in the description below of people sort of harvesting it as well. You can see they're digging it out of the ground, and it's not in a particularly dry, arid sort of place. It's a lot like a potato. So I think that helped me to sort of change my approach to this plant a little bit, to treat it more like a regular house plant than a succulent. And that has really helped to change the game, because you can see here we've got some nice big, you know, leaves for this plant, the Stephania Erecta. I would say that these are quite, you know, quite large, quite substantial leaves. I've seen a lot of them really, really small, maybe around this sort of size. So I'm really happy with the growth. But I want to show you guys the Stephania Nova. And I think this plant is just, I just love it. I just love it so much. And here it is, the Stephania Nova. You can see the similarities in this plant compared to the Erectica. You know, they've got those sort of circle leaves with, you know, a gorgeous venation. And you can see very similar leaf pattern here as well. But the obvious thing, the obvious difference is that it's just so much larger. To be fair, last year I got much larger leaves than this. I think they were definitely maybe 2 times the size. I will definitely pull up a clip from my previous video so you guys can see exactly how large this plant was before. But the difference is this time we have a lot more leaves actually sustained on the plant, with some, if I'm not mistaken, there was some, I don't think they made it actually, but there was some more, there were loads more opportunities for this plant to continue to throw out new leaves, but I think those have dried off now. So you can, I'll show you guys here, you can see those black sort of areas of where the would-be leaves sort of dried off and fell off. So, but that's all right, because I'm enjoying the way this plant is growing. Again, this is in a reservoir, and this one isn't as thirsty as the Erectica, because I might only have to top up this reservoir once every 2 weeks, as opposed to the Erectica, which I might have to top up 2 to 3 times a week, as I said previously. But this one is really nice. I really enjoy growing this one. The leaves are definitely, they do feel a lot more fragile than the Erectica, especially here. You can see where, you know, I sort of touched it or brushed past it with another plant, and you can see how that sort of damaged the leaf somewhat. But, you know, it's still doing really, really well, and I'm really enjoying this plant. The other thing I really like about this as well, which is not, I would say it's on the same sort of level as the Erectica, because it's the codex itself actually. So this one is a lot more irregular in terms of its shape and its design. And I really like that. It's just really, it's an odd plant, right? Unlike the Erectica, which is more uniform in its shape, it's more spherical, it's just really, really gorgeous. But this one is definitely a bit of me. I do think I prefer this sort of odd looking geometric sort of shape that this one has going on. In terms of the care of these plants, what I've been doing this time around is I've been fertilizing them with every single watering, with every single reservoir. I've been giving them a little bit of fertilizer. This one once a week, I would say, because it gets watered so much, so often. I only do it once a week, along with the regular schedule for my other plants. And this one, whenever the reservoir is empty, I will do a flush in my sink of the pond, and then I will top it up with some nutrient water again. And I think that might contribute to the amount of leaves that this plant is able to sustain. Again, as I said, I've been giving them good humidity, around 60%, and it goes up to well over 90% in the evening. So that's what I've been doing, and I give them plenty of light. I think that's important as well. So that's the quick care tips and an update on these two beauties, my Stephania Erectica and my Stephania Nova. If you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you own these plants and what tips and tricks you can give to the community to help them to continue growing their plants and enjoying it just like I am. So that was it. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep planting.